and our allies.
We have inflicted considerable damage on the enemy.
The people who make international headlines.
Ultimately, the truth will out.
They want to stop this publication of information that embarrasses them.
Make time for Sir David Frost. Frost over the world. At this time on AlJazeera.
An uprising on the streets, showing no sign of relenting. Protesters united in their defiance of the regime. As demonstrations continued for a third week, President Mubarak remained unmoved. But how much longer could he ignore the demands of his people and hold on to power? In a day-by-day account, we look at the events that changed Egypt, from those that witnessed them firsthand. Fall of Mubarak, at this time on AlJazeera.
Homes have crumbled and many buildings have been left just empty shells.
Tensions are high. Riot police trying to control thousands of Greek protesters on the streets of Athens.
A British court has approved the go-ahead for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to be extradited.
The Gaddafi is waging a war against the Libyan people. They are killing civilians mercilessly. They're using ammunition, live ammunition.
Information travels in many ways. Knowledge passes in an instant.
If you want to communicate with those shaping the headlines, this is your chance to ask questions directly to the people making the news. Riz Khan, at this time on AlJazeera.
A major new assault by Muammar Gaddafi's forces in Libya. A witness tells Al Jazeera of heavy shelling and many casualties. Hello, I'm Darren Jordan. This is Al Jazeera live from Doha. We'll have the latest on the battle for AlJazeera. Also coming up, rebels claim control of the strategic oil region of Ras Lanuf, but the government says it's still in charge. Protesters storm state security headquarters in Egypt after claims officials are destroying documents. Cutting corruption and raising wages. China's premier outlines his targets for 2011. Welcome to the programme. We begin with breaking news from Libya. Troops loyal to Muammar Gaddafi have launched a new attack on the opposition-held city of AlJazeera. That's 50 kilometres west of Tripoli. It's a battle that could prove vital to Gaddafi's defence of the capital. Well, joining us on the phone is Dr. Hamdi. He's a surgeon who's currently in the centre of AlJazeera. He's speaking to us through a translator. Dr. Hamdi, just tell us where you are in the city and what you're seeing in front of you.
Now I am at the center of the Al Zawiya, what is known the Martyrs Square, and what we're seeing now is a large number of the people living in the city are gathering in the center of the city after they managed to push back the Gaddafi armed forces, and they have been pushed outside the city.
Have you seen tanks and heavy weapons? What sort of equipment did you see during the fighting earlier on?
Yes, there have been a number of tanks. The security forces of Gaddafi came into the city with armored vehicles and tanks and trucks carrying anti-aircraft cannons. And there we have managed to capture 2 tanks. We have damaged them and they are still remaining in the center of the square. Also, a number of Jeep military cars have been taken over by us and a number of other four-wheel drive cars. And we thank God for the victory we managed to achieve so far.
Dr. Hamdi, you are a surgeon. Did you help treat the wounded?
Yeah, of course, at the beginning, I was at home, and then because I live in one of the main roads of the city, and I couldn't leave home because there was a large number of security forces, the Gaddafi security forces, on the streets, on the main roads of the city, and they were preventing people from walking outside their doors, and they were shooting at anyone who gets to step out. Of course, I couldn't go to the hospital or come down to the street, but when they were pushed back, we managed to get out of the homes, and we courageously, the fighters managed to push them back and get to the center of the square, and I helped administer first aid to a number of casualties, and I asked a number of colleagues who are in the square. There is between 150 to 200 injured so far.
Dr. Hamdi, what's the situation now, and have the Gaddafi forces left AlJazeera?
At this moment, there are no security forces of Gaddafi in the center of the city. They have all been pushed outside the city, and the revolutionaries take control of the center square and almost all the city, and we push them to the outskirts of the city. And there is news that the Gaddafi security forces are gathering up at the outskirts of the city and preparing for another attack. And the revolutionaries here are bracing themselves and reorganizing their lines to prepare themselves to defend the city against. There is about 10,000 people here who are preparing themselves in the center square, and they're all happy for what have been achieved so far, despite the casualties and the dead.
Okay, Dr. Hamdi, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us at Al Jazeera. All right, let's talk to Tony Bertley now. He joins us live from Benghazi in Libya. Tony, just bring us up to speed now with what's happening where you are and in the east of the country.
Well, I think they're buoyed by that news you've just heard then from AlJazeera, and the focus here is an area called Ras Lanuf, which is about 650 kilometers from here. There have been strong fighting, we understand, in the last 24 hours. We've been told that the opposition forces have taken it, but there's no, 100% confirmation on that. But there has been casualties, there have been fighting. This is a strategic point on the way to Sirte, which, as you know, is the stronghold of Gaddafi's hometown, is where he's got something like 4,000 well-equipped, well-trained fighters. So that is quite important, quite significant. And it seems like we've gone into a new phase now. The people here were hoping that the international community could have brought enough pressure to bear on Gaddafi to make him go. That's obviously not happening. So the people are realizing it now lies in their own hands. And I think we're seeing now an escalation of this, moving more to a military solution, and people...
Yeah, Tony, and given the sort of large distances between all these cities and towns, I mean, many people are saying this is very much developing into a standoff that could last for some time.
Well, it could do, and I have to say also that it's not completely safe, because although there are large distances, I mean, basically fast-moving vehicles can cover that territory very, very quickly indeed. We saw that a couple of days ago in Brega, when there was a hit force from Gaddafi's forces who came in to the area, hit it very hard, and left at the end of the day. So they can move very quickly, and of course, we have the threat from the air.